There are moments in life when heaven itself opens, when the blessings you've been praying for suddenly start to flow. The same people who once doubted you will stand in awe, wondering how you rose so high, how doors opened so fast, how favor found you when you had nothing. But hear me today. When money comes from God, don't shout it from the rooftops. Stay still, stay humble, and stay wise. Because divine provision is never meant to inflate your ego. It's meant to increase your assignment. When God begins to trust you with wealth, He's not just blessing your bank account, He's testing your heart. Can you carry the weight of abundance without forgetting the source? The loudest testimony isn't always your words. Sometimes it's your character in the midst of overflow. Don't let sudden prosperity make you careless. What you keep quiet about, God continues to multiply. What you boast about, you risk losing. There's a sacred silence in spiritual success, a wisdom that says this is between me and God, because not every eye watching you is cheering for you. Some are waiting to see if your blessing becomes your downfall. So, when money starts to move, let your gratitude rise higher than your pride. Let your humility guard your harvest. Remember, when heaven sends prosperity, hell sends distractions. Keep your eyes fixed, your spirit grounded, and your voice quiet. You don't have to prove your blessing. Just live it. Stay wise, stay hidden in His favor, and watch what God will do next. When God begins to bless a person, it is not just a reward, it is a divine examination. Every increase, every open door, every answered prayer carries a silent question from heaven. Can you handle what you prayed for without losing who you were before it came? Many cry for breakthrough, but few are prepared for the weight of it. Blessing can reveal what hardship once hid. When you had little, it was easy to stay humble, easy to pray, easy to depend on God. But when abundance arrives, your true character steps into the light. God doesn't test through lack alone, He tests through plenty. He watches what you do when the pressure of survival is gone, when your name starts to rise, when money replaces worry. Will you still kneel when you could now stand tall? The test behind every blessing is not about the blessing itself. It's about your ability to remain faithful when the spotlight turns your way. Every blessing has a voice, and that voice can either call you closer to God or draw you away from Him. The greater the blessing, the louder the temptation to forget the source. When your needs are met, when prayers are answered, and when the weight of waiting is lifted, pride begins to whisper, "You did this." But the wise know better. They know that nothing truly good ever comes from self-effort alone. They remember the nights of tears, the moments of surrender, and the grace that carried them through the valleys. God watches to see if you'll still acknowledge His hand when your hands are now full. Many lose focus not because of struggle, but because of success. Blessings are meant to bring you to your knees in gratitude, not to your feet in arrogance. When blessings come, distractions often follow. You prayed for the opportunity, but now you're surrounded by applause, opinions, and options. The test behind every blessing is to see whether you can remain still in the noise. Some people start strong in faith but weaken in comfort. They stop seeking God because everything seems fine, but comfort without communion is a trap. The true purpose of prosperity is not to distance you from prayer, but to deepen your devotion. God's blessings are not meant to replace Him. They're meant to reveal Him in new ways. Can you still wake up and say, "Lord, I need You," even when your bills are paid and your life feels complete? If you can, you've passed the test most fail. The test of remembering the giver while enjoying the gift. The test also reveals your stewardship. What will you do with what He gave you? Will you hoard it, boast about it, or use it to heal others? God never blesses just one person. He blesses through one person. Every gift, every dollar, every opportunity carries a purpose bigger than you. Heaven watches how you handle increase. Do you give back? Do you serve? Or do you seek more only for yourself? The moment your blessing becomes self-centered, it stops being divine. True wealth flows outward. It feeds the hungry, uplifts the broken, and extends the love of God in practical ways. The test behind every blessing is whether your heart remains open to give, even after you've received. Another part of the test is how you respond to people after you've been lifted. God observes how you treat those who have less than you, those who once helped you, and even those who mocked you. Blessings have a way of flipping positions. The one who once borrowed now lends. The one who once prayed for help now becomes the helper. But will you stay kind, patient, and merciful? Or will you use your new position to look down on others? The test behind every blessing measures your compassion. True greatness is never loud, it's gentle. If you can sit at the top and still wash feet, if you can prosper and still love the poor, then heaven smiles, because you've proven that the blessing didn't blind you. Finally, the test behind every blessing is about trust. Can God trust you with more? Every time you pass one level of stewardship, He promotes you to the next. If you stay humble, if you stay faithful, if you stay generous, heaven keeps opening doors. God is not looking for perfect people. He's looking for trustworthy ones. When He blesses you, He is investing in your character. The true test isn't how fast you gain, but how well you handle. Some people's blessings destroy them because their foundation wasn't ready. But those who understand the purpose behind their prosperity never lose themselves in success. They know that what came from God must stay with God. Every blessing is both a gift and a classroom. And those who stay teachable in abundance will keep walking in divine increase. There comes a sacred moment when God blesses you so deeply that words are no longer needed. You find yourself standing in awe, not talking, not posting, not proving, just quietly grateful. Silence becomes your worship, and humility becomes your language. When heaven moves in your life, there's a divine instruction that whispers, "Don't speak too soon," because real blessings don't require announcement. They reveal themselves through peace, progress, and purpose. Pride rushes to show off, but wisdom waits. The ones who truly walk with God understand that silence protects what noise destroys. When you speak too quickly, you invite unnecessary eyes, opinions, and envy into something sacred. There's a time to testify, but there's also a time to treasure. The wisest believers know when to hide what God is building, because some miracles are meant to mature in private before they're shown in public. Silence is not weakness, it's strength under control. Pride needs validation, humility needs none. When you've truly been blessed by God, you don't have to convince anyone. The evidence will speak for itself. There's a quiet power that surrounds a person who walks in divine favor yet refuses to brag about it. Their peace intimidates those who seek attention because it's rooted in security. Silence allows your actions to echo louder than your words ever could. It's easy to boast when money flows or doors open, but those who stay silent prove that their trust is in God, not in applause. The loudest testimony is not the one shouted from a stage. It's the life that quietly reflects God's goodness without demanding recognition. Pride seeks to impress, but silence allows grace to impress through you. When pride speaks too soon, it can sabotage what God is still shaping. Some blessings are delicate. They require protection, not publicity. Imagine a seed newly planted in fertile soil. It must remain buried to grow. Dig it up too early to show others and you destroy it. Many lose their harvest because they talk about it before it's time. When you expose divine progress too quickly, the enemy takes notice and begins to attack prematurely. That's why wisdom teaches us to stay quiet while God works. Silence gives God space to finish what He started without interference. Those who can wait in quiet trust will see a greater manifestation than those who crave early attention. Pride shouts for recognition, but silence whispers faith. The silent believer is not hiding in fear, they are guarding their promise in wisdom. There's a reason why Jesus often performed miracles and then told people not to speak of them. It wasn't secrecy, it was strategy. He knew that noise attracts opposition. The more you speak, the more you invite distraction. Sometimes the greatest spiritual maturity is learning to say nothing. You don't need to justify your progress, explain your peace, or prove your worth. Let your fruit do the talking. When you stay quiet, you give God full credit. Silence is the language of trust. It says, "God, I don't need the world to see it yet. I'm content knowing you did it. Pride tries to take the spotlight. Silence gives it back to God. There's a beauty in living so rooted in divine confidence that you no longer need to be noticed. You just keep walking, giving, serving, and smiling, while heaven continues to write your story. Silence is also protection from pride itself. The moment we begin to boast, we shift our focus from the giver to the gift. Pride is subtle. It can hide in gratitude that's mixed with self-praise. That's why silence keeps the heart pure. When you restrain yourself from showing off, you remain sensitive to the Spirit's voice. You stay teachable, humble, and aware that everything you have is by grace alone. Pride blinds, but silence sharpens vision. It reminds you that what came from God must always lead back to Him. Those who master the art of quiet gratitude live free from comparison. They don't measure blessings by who notices. They measure them by how deeply they remain thankful. Silence disciplines the soul. It keeps you from saying too much, reacting too quickly, or seeking too loudly what can only be secured through faith. When you understand that silence speaks louder than pride, you begin to see blessings differently. You no longer chase validation because you realize that divine favor doesn't need applause. It needs stewardship. The quiet heart walks in strength that the proud can never understand. It doesn't panic when misunderstood nor boast when elevated. It simply remains anchored in peace. God trusts those who can keep quiet, because He knows they won't corrupt His glory. Every time you resist the urge to brag, you prove that your confidence is in Him alone. True greatness doesn't need to announce itself. It's recognized by its fruit. The ones who learn to stay silent in success are the ones heaven can continue to bless. Because in their stillness, God's voice becomes louder, His wisdom clearer, and His presence stronger. There is a sacred space where heaven and earth meet. A quiet place where God releases provision, wisdom, and guidance. That place is not found in public applause, but in private communion. It's the secret place where your prayers are born and your blessings are released. When you walk closely with God, He doesn't always shout. He whispers. He doesn't always display your favor publicly. Sometimes He hides it until the time is right. That is why guarding your secret place is vital. Not everyone deserves to know the details of what God is doing in your life. Some things must remain between you and Him. The more you protect that divine intimacy, the stronger your flow of provision becomes. Because the secret place is not just where God gives, it's where He tests trust. He wants to see if you can carry blessings quietly without needing to prove them to others. The ones who know how to keep their secret place guarded are the ones God can continually trust with more. The world teaches you to share everything, to show your every move, and to display your progress. But heaven works differently. What God does in your spirit before it shows in your life is far more important than what people can see. The danger of exposing your secret place is that it invites unnecessary opinions and spiritual interference. The moment you let the wrong voices into your holy space, confusion begins. What was once clear becomes clouded because too many people now have access to something that was never meant for them. Guarding the secret place means setting boundaries, not to isolate yourself, but to preserve the atmosphere where faith can breathe. When your connection with God is pure and undistracted, provision flows freely. The secret place is like a well. If you let too many draw from it, it runs dry. Protect it fiercely, because your spiritual privacy determines your divine power. In the secret place, God doesn't just give resources, He gives revelation. Provision is more than money, it's divine insight, timing, and direction. You can have wealth and still lose it without wisdom. But when you stay rooted in that secret fellowship, you receive instruction on how to manage, multiply, and maintain what God gives. That's why many people gain blessings but can't sustain them. They leave the secret place after receiving the gift. The moment you disconnect from the giver, the gift loses its purpose. God is not just trying to bless you once, He's trying to keep you in a continual flow. But that flow requires consistency in the hidden place. Guarding it means protecting your prayer time, your quiet reflection, your spiritual listening. Those are not rituals, they are lifelines. The louder the world gets, the more silent you must become before God. In that stillness, you'll hear him say things that money can't buy and people can't teach. When you truly guard the secret place, you begin to see your provision differently. You realize that not every opportunity is divine and not every open door is meant to be walked through. Some opportunities are distractions designed to pull you out of alignment with heaven's rhythm. In the secret place, God gives discernment. He teaches you which connections are from him and which are traps. When your spirit is tuned to his voice, you can sense when something looks right but feels wrong. That's why isolation with God is not loneliness, it's strategy. It's where he trains your spiritual sensitivity. When you guard that space, you won't have to chase provision. It will find you. Because provision isn't random, it follows presence. When you stay close to God in secret, you walk in public favor. But when you trade intimacy for exposure, you lose the divine covering that made provision possible in the first place. Guarding your secret place also means protecting your gratitude. When you keep your blessings hidden, it becomes easier to stay thankful instead of prideful. Public praise can feed ego. Private worship feeds the soul. There is something powerful about thanking God in secret for what others don't even know he's done. That kind of gratitude strengthens your faith and deepens your awareness of grace. It keeps your spirit clean and your motives pure. When you worship in secret, you're saying, God, I remember where this came from, and heaven responds by sending more. Because God increases what he can trust you to keep humble. The secret place is the environment where humility and provision coexist. It's where your heart learns to depend on the invisible hand of God more than visible approval. Protect that heart posture, because it's the gate through which supernatural provision flows continuously. To guard the secret place of provision is to understand that divine resources are not sustained by visibility, they are sustained by faithfulness. You don't have to announce every miracle, defend every blessing, or explain every favor. Let your silence become your shield. The world doesn't need to know how God did it. They'll see the results soon enough. Your responsibility is to stay connected to the source. Every moment spent in his presence strengthens the foundation that holds your prosperity. When storms come, those rooted in the secret place do not fall. They flourish. They've built their lives on divine whispers, not worldly noise. So guard that place with prayer, protect it with discipline, and cherish it with reverence. It's not just a hiding place, it's the heart of your provision, and those who keep it holy will never lack what heaven has promised. Wealth without wisdom is a trap disguised as success. Many people pray for riches, but few ask for understanding to manage them. Wisdom is the foundation that sustains what money builds. It teaches you when to give, when to save, and when to speak. Without it, blessings can quickly become burdens. The truth is, God never intended for wealth to destroy character. He designed it to reveal stewardship. Wisdom becomes the gatekeeper that decides what stays and what goes, what grows and what fades. It guards your heart from greed and your hands from waste. When wisdom rules, wealth multiplies in peace. When foolishness leads, it disappears in pride. The world teaches how to make money, but only the Spirit teaches how to keep it without losing yourself. That's why every prayer for increase must be followed by a cry for insight, because only wisdom can hold what heaven releases. True wisdom begins with reverence for God. It's not found in degrees, strategies, or trends. It's found in obedience. When you honor divine principles, your prosperity carries purpose. Wisdom teaches you that increase is not ownership, but assignment. Everything you have belongs to God, and you are merely the caretaker. That revelation changes how you spend, how you give, and how you plan. It keeps your motives pure, even as your blessings grow. Many lose their wealth because they forget its source. But wisdom constantly whispers, remember who gave it. It reminds you that money is a tool, not a master, a blessing, not a burden. When you let wisdom guide your finances, your wealth no longer controls you. You control it. You begin to see money not as a symbol of power, but as a seed for purpose. That is when divine prosperity becomes sustainable. Wisdom doesn't just protect wealth, it multiplies it through discernment. There are seasons to sow, seasons to wait, and seasons to reap, and only wisdom can recognize them. Foolishness spends in the moment. Wisdom invests for the future. It knows that what looks small today can become mighty tomorrow when handled with care. Many destroy what could have multiplied simply because they move without divine timing. God's blessings often arrive in seed form, and it takes wisdom to recognize their potential. Some opportunities don't come with flashing lights. They come quietly, disguised as small beginnings. When wisdom governs your decisions, you won't rush ahead of grace or lag behind opportunity. You'll move in rhythm with divine timing. That alignment attracts lasting prosperity, because heaven always supports what wisdom initiates. Those who walk in wisdom never fear losing, because they've learned that wealth is not kept in hands, it's kept in understanding. Wisdom also teaches you to protect your wealth from pride and waste. It reminds you that the purpose of prosperity is not to flaunt, but to fulfill. Without wisdom, money becomes a mirror that reflects ego instead of gratitude. But wisdom humbles the heart, teaching contentment even in abundance. It says, be grateful, not greedy. It turns focus from competition to compassion. The truly wise use wealth as a bridge, not a wall. They lift others instead of lording over them. They understand that every blessing carries responsibility to give, to build, to bless. When you allow wisdom to lead your financial journey, you begin to see generosity as the highest form of success. Because giving doesn't reduce wealth, it refines it. Wisdom guards you from the emptiness of excess and the arrogance of achievement. It keeps you balanced, disciplined, and thankful, no matter how much you have. Another dimension of wisdom is foresight, the ability to see beyond the moment. A wise person plans for storms while enjoying sunshine. They don't fear the future, but they prepare for it. Wisdom stores oil before the night falls, like the wise virgins in the parable. It doesn't waste in seasons of plenty because it understands that every blessing carries a purpose beyond today. Wealth gained without foresight often ends in regret, but wisdom teaches you to structure your finances around principles, not impulses. It helps you build systems that outlive emotions. That's how legacies are created, not through sudden success, but through consistent stewardship. When wisdom is the keeper of your wealth, you live with stability. You're not shaken by economy, trends, or losses because your foundation is built on divine prudence. Wisdom gives peace where wealth alone gives pressure. It turns prosperity into permanence. Wisdom is also the voice that connects your wealth to eternity. It asks the deeper questions. What is this for? Who will this bless? How will this glorify God? When wealth becomes eternal in purpose, it becomes unshakable in value. Wisdom turns temporary riches into timeless impact. It leads you to build what lasts: faith, family, legacy, and influence that points others toward God. Without wisdom, riches perish with the body. With wisdom, they outlive your name. The wisest people are not just remembered for what they earn, but for what they built in others. Wisdom transforms money into ministry and abundance into testimony. It's not how much you possess, but how purposefully you use it that heaven counts. So when God entrusts you with wealth, ask not only for more, but for the wisdom to keep it holy. For in the end, wisdom is not just the keeper of wealth, it is the soul of divine prosperity. When God begins to bless your life, it's never just about increase. It's about intimacy, integrity, and insight. Every blessing carries a purpose, and every moment of abundance carries a test. God watches not only how we pray for prosperity, but how we handle it when it comes. True prosperity is never loud. It's disciplined, humble, and guided by wisdom. The most powerful people in the kingdom are not those who boast of their wealth, but those who walk quietly in obedience, letting their fruits speak for them. When money flows, keep your heart pure, your motives clean, and your voice still. Stay hidden in gratitude, because what you guard in secret, God multiplies in public. Remember that blessings are not trophies, they are tools. What God gives you is meant to serve His purpose and reveal His glory. Wisdom protects your wealth. Humility sustains your success, and silence preserves your peace. Don't let the noise of the world pull you away from the stillness of God's presence. Keep your secret place sacred, your heart anchored, and your faith alive. You don't have to announce what God is doing. Just live it with grace, give with compassion, and walk with discernment. In every season, whether in little or in plenty, let your life whisper, "To God be the glory." Because when money truly comes from heaven, you won't need to prove it. The peace that surrounds you will say it all. Stay wise, stay humble, and keep your blessings between you and the one who gave them. That's where real prosperity lives, not in what you show, but in how you steward what you've received. Thank you for listening. May your hands never lack, your heart never harden, and your spirit always stay aligned with God's purpose. God bless you richly.